Now then everybody, in this week's video I'm here to test out the new autofocus improvements on the Panasonic S1 through firmware update 1.6. I'm still running 1.6, there is a new update to 1.7. I've not put that in the camera yet because as I could see it, that hasn't got any more updates for the autofocus system, so I am still using 1.6. I'm also going to just be using this in this week's video, the Sigma 50mm 1.4, which isn't a Panasonic lens, but it is an L-mount Sigma lens, and they are part of that L-mount alliance. So I was hoping to see some great improvements from my previous video, which if you've not already watched, please click the link up there where I look at the autofocus using the 50mm f1.4 Sigma lens. As always, please drop a comment in the comment section below on what you think of these improvements and whether or not you can see any massive differences from my previous video. So as you can see from the footage, it's a bit of a mixed bag, and to be fair, it's still pretty unreliable. As you can see from the f1.4, pretty much where the settings are left at 0 and 0, it's stable enough. However, it still hunts when the person turns their back and then walking towards the camera. It still certainly struggled with that kind of movement. And I just found that all the other ratios, increasing the autofocus and the sensitivity, didn't really do much until, of course, we got to 5.6 and using the aperture of 5.6. Where this was the case, I actually felt like with the AF speed at 5 and the sensitivity set to 0, it didn't do a bad job. Now, it didn't do a great job, but it didn't do too much pulsing or trying to auto-correct itself. It seemed to be a little bit more natural, and this seemed to be the case as well when the AF was set to 3 and sensitivity set to 0. That's really the only place I could see there was a little bit more consistency than the other settings. That being said, for me, it's still not reliable enough, at least not with the Sigma 50mm 1.4 that I've got for the S1. There might be an improvement on the Panasonic specific lenses, but unfortunately, I don't actually have any of those to test. So I am just hoping every time we get a new update that the Sigma lenses are going to join and follow along with the trend of having improvements made on them. That being said, I'm still quite excited for the next update, and hopefully there will be even more improvements. I still find that in a situation like this, where the autofocus is just having to track me staring at the camera, talking to camera, I'm not doing much movements, it's a lot better. However, it still makes a lot of noise trying to focus, even though right now I aren't moving at all. I can still audibly hear the motor, and you may be able to hear that as well, which I thought had actually been improved a couple of videos ago where I couldn't hear the motor and I was using this 1.6 firmware update, but it seems that this motor has returned. So unless I just found the sweet spot of lighting and all the rest of it and positioning, and that was the reason why it was an improvement, I have no idea. But unfortunately, this lens is still fairly audible, and I can hear it constantly trying to focus on me right now, even though I'm not doing much movements. Well, that's going to be it for this video, folks. Hopefully you've enjoyed the content. Again, if you've not already done so, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you very much.